What is up, guys? ZJ Challenger from the NAB. Today I'm going to bring you something different than anything else I've ever talked about. I'm going to bring you a tutorial for Genji from Overwatch. Badass ninja that everybody kind of wants to use because he's a ninja, but forget all that. We're going to hop right into it. First, we're going to talk about his shuriken. That is his offensive ability. That is his weapon, his primary weapon. His R2 version of it, every weapon has two versions. The R2 is going to be 3 in a straight line like a burst fire weapon. That's the one you want to use if you know for a fact you're going to hit somebody, if you're going to lead somebody. Second, his L2 is going to be, he's going to throw all three of them at once, but they're going to go out in like a fan shape. One in the middle, one diagonal to the left, one diagonal to the right. That's more so once you get close. That's his shotgun ability, I guess you could say, switching from a burst automatic long range to a shotgun up close. It's really good to use for smaller heroes, people that you just want to make sure you hit them. Like as you can see, this Lucio right here. You want to make sure you can hit them once you get up close. If you get close enough, you can hit somebody with all three of them. So it's like you're putting out a higher DPS for them. It's really useful. As you'll check it out with this soldier, you see that it's really smooth. It's really fun to use. That R2, that's good for big enemies if you know for a fact they're not going to get away from it, or just get the hell out of the way because a diva comes flying through the doorway. Anyways, you want to use that R2 for long range. The best thing about this is there's no damage drop off whatsoever. So you can almost use Genji as a sniper in a way sometimes. He's not, it's all eyeballed. You don't have a sight or anything like that, but if you can hit somebody from far away, you don't have to worry about damage dropping off, so that's fantastic. You can cancel out of your shuriken, your L2 ability at least, right into Swift Strike. But speaking of Swift Strike, in a couple of seconds we're going to talk about his abilities right after you see this soldier get murdered. Anyways, now let's go ahead and take a second and talk about Genji's abilities. You know about Deflect by now, and you know about Swift Strike by now. So we're going to break those both down. Deflect, that's useful because he uses that to deflect any kind of projectile that comes his way. Not beams. We're going to get into that later because that's so important to know about Genji because, it's all about matchups there. So his second ability is going to be Swift Strike. That's going to be his L1. I'm speaking in PlayStation terms, but half the time you're going to use both these bad boys together in conjunction because, that's just how, good Overwatch player is. You want to keep in mind all of your abilities and all of your, strengths and weaknesses. But Deflect, it is so useful. You use that as a way to approach someone. You use that as a way to get out of a fight. You use that as a defensive and offensive ability, and it's invaluable. The best thing about Deflect is you can actually deflect even ults that are projectiles. Swift Strike, you use that to zip around the battlefield. Genji, he's annoying. He's very annoying. Unless you are Genji, you're not gonna have a fun time fighting him. The best thing about Genji is that he can, just distract you. He's a guerrilla warfare kind of fighter, in and out, hit and run. You can't always kill him. He only has 200 health, but you wouldn't know it at the time unless he, wants you to know it. But yeah, you want to use that Swift Strike as a way to cut through people for final kills, as a way to get closer to people. You can engage fights with it, and you can also exit fights with it. So that's more important to know. You don't want to waste your Swift Strike if you don't have to, because once you use that Swift Strike and once you're in there, that's that. But next we're going to talk about Genji's mobility. Mobility, so important. Mobility. Mobility is key for absolutely every Genji player. That's one thing you want to learn before anything. I probably should have put it first before the shuriken, honestly, because if you don't know how to move as Genji, you're gonna die. He only has 200 HP, but you can spread that out. You probably won't ever die if you really know how to use Genji correctly. You can navigate the battlefield better than anyone else. Pharah, she can go straight up in the air, but she has a cooldown on it. Genji doesn't have a cooldown on his jumps. He can climb whatever wall is near him. He can use Swift Strike to go straight up in the air or straight across, straight down, whatever it is he needs to do. If you know where health packs are, which is an absolute necessity as Genji also, considering you only have 200 HP, as soon as you know where everything's at, you can navigate the map better than anyone. You can say, all right guys, I'm gonna flank. You can get behind the enemies. You can jump up and down where they're distracted. They won't even kill you unless you stop moving or somebody's very good with aiming. Unless you're playing on like PC or something, and in that case, you're probably dicked anyways. You're probably just gonna die. But if you use, his mobility helps him get in and out of fights better than anyone else in the game, and that is so key. You see right here, climbing up the wall. Who the hell knows what else is down there near me? But I won't have to find out because he's not in the fight anymore. You want to use Genji's Swift Strike as a way to go straight up in the air at a close distance. You can use that as a way to, check it out, bang, right there. You can't do that with everyone else. You can't always hit someone from far away, but with Genji, that's all there really is to it. You're zipping around the battlefield for safety, for closing in on kills, for assassinations. Genji's an assassin through and through. That's one of the best things to remember about him. Now we're going to talk about Genji's ultimate, which is called Dragon Blade. Genji's ultimate, he starts it off by yelling some amazing quote in Japanese, not sure what it means, whatever, it just sounds good. He whips out his sword for 8 seconds of uninterrupted badassery. He just whips around the field. I believe he has 8 or 9, strokes of his sword. They do just amazing amounts of damage. But one thing to definitely keep in mind with this ultimate ability is it's not a Death Blossom from Reaper. It's not, the Earth Shatter from Reinhardt here. You have to control this bad boy from beginning to end, and you have to actually have a decent bit of skill to use it. It's not a one and done. You can't shoot this bad boy off one time and then there you go. You have to control it from beginning to end, but it's very useful once you learn how to do that, once you learn how to use Genji from beginning to end. You can use all of his abilities while you're doing it, deflect and swift strike, as you can see. It's so important to use this thing, for everybody's ult. You never want to waste an ult, but you can use this in plenty of situations. Speaking of situations, now we're going to get into the matchups, tips, and tricks with Genji. Genji has a very specific role. There are a few things that you definitely have to know. First of all, as I mentioned earlier, he's good at picking things off long range, such as turrets, Torbjorn turrets, and bastions. He absolutely destroys bastions if they're stupid enough to fire at you and not understand that you can deflect everything right back at you. But as you can see here, okay, he can't deflect Symmetra's turret. You wonder why? I don't know if you don't know why already, but we're going to get into that. We're going to talk about the people that he can't fight. Starting with Winston, our boy Winston here. You don't want to mess with Winston. He can close distance on you with a jump. He has tons of health, and you can't block his Tesla cannon, the electricity cannon. So, don't fight him alone if you don't have to. He's a tank. It's hard to pick fights with tanks as Genji. Next, we're going to talk about Symmetra here. She, as you just saw, her turrets melt you. You can't deflect a beam, and her weapon herself that she holds in her hand, that's the same way. So either pick her off from a distance or don't pick a fight with her at all. You have to be very patient when fighting Symmetra because that's just how she is. Third, we're going to talk about Zarya, who looks like she's beaming the hell out of a Genji as we speak. She has tons of health, she has shields, and she has a laser beam that you also can't deflect, as I mentioned earlier. Last but not least, we're going to talk about the biggest POS in all of Overwatch. I think everybody hates her. It's Mei. Don't fight her just no, don't do it. She can freeze you, don't fight her alone, fight her in a group. She's a pain in the ass for people on her team and also not on her team. Now, we're going to just get into the rest of, Genji's repertoire, the rest of what is there for him to offer. I hate talking about his weaknesses because, that's just not, as a Genji main, I hate doing it. But he does have them. He can't just stand in the battlefield as a soldier would. He doesn't have anything to throw down that'll just help heal him the entire time like it would everyone else. He has a very, very specific role, and I recommend, as you just saw, go ahead and drop those supports. Go ahead and drop those healers. That's so important because not many people can, take out supports and get behind enemy lines as quickly as Genji does. Also, be cautious when fighting anyone who has explosives because you can't deflect splash damage. That's just stupid. You can deflect the rocket itself, but you get certain players who are good enough to not directly shoot at you. Another thing to remember with Genji, be aware of where health packs are, be aware when to back off the fight. You'll check it out here. You have to use deflect as a defensive ability to get out and find health because he does only have 200 HP. He's kind of squishy. Next, understand that you can't always fight everything by yourself as Genji. No matter how good you are, bad shit happens sometimes. Sometimes you end up on your butt because of a Reinhardt, but you have your boy, the Battlegrounds here using McCree saving you from a Reinhardt. Probably would have died there, except, oh look, I'm going to return the favor. Anyways, it's just good to know these things with Genji because he's a very specific kind of player. He's fun to use, he's very useful, but there are a few tips for you guys to start off using your Genjis. If there's anything I missed, go ahead and drop it in the comments section. I'll bring another tutorial to you guys soon. I'm trying to debate which hero it's gonna be, but ZJ Challenger signing out. Go ahead and check out the rest of our video, guys. Thanks for stopping by.
만개교 샤링간